You know that feeling, right? That little jolt of anxiety when someone you care about just goes quiet. A text is left unread, a call isn't returned. So today, we're going to dig into why that distance can feel less like a pause and more like a total disappearance. It's a really deep psychological thing, so let's get into it.
I mean, it's something we've all been through, hasn't it? That one little delayed text reply that just explodes in your mind. It feels so much bigger than it actually is. It can trigger this huge wave of panic or dread. It feels super personal, super significant. So what is going on in our brains that makes it feel so massive?
In this quote, this really hits the nail on the head. For some of us, our brains just don't see silence as a neutral thing. It's not just a blank space. No, for these brains, that absence is seen as actual hard evidence that the connection is already starting to break down.
Okay, so first up, the panic of silence. Let's talk about why absence can feel like a full-blown abandonment.
Right, so here's where we have to kind of flip the script on how we think about this. That feeling you get, it isn't really about the 15 minutes or the 2 hours that have gone by. It's much deeper than that. Your nervous system is basically running a survival program in the background, and it's constantly scanning for the probability of being abandoned.
All right, now let's get into the science of it. What's actually happening inside your brain when you're staring at that communication gap? It's all about missing data.
So the key idea we need to understand is something called emotional permanence. You know how a baby learns that an object still exists even when they can't see it? That's object permanence. Well, this is kind of the same thing, but for relationships. It's your brain's ability to trust that a connection is still there, even when you're not getting constant reassurance or those, live signals. And when you feel that panic, it's a huge sign that this system is getting shaky.
Here's a way to think about it. Your brain is basically a prediction machine. Its number one job is to guess what's coming next to keep you safe. So when it expects a live signal, like a text back, and gets nothing, it creates this void. It's missing data. And your attachment system? Oh, it hates missing data. It just can't stand it.
Okay, so what's happening is basically a fight inside your own head. You've got two parts of your brain at odds. First, there's the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's super-fast smoke detector. It sees that uncertainty and immediately starts screaming, danger, social danger. It's all emotion, all speed. Then, much later, the prefrontal cortex, your logical, reasoning center, kind of strolls onto the scene and says, whoa, hold on. They're probably just in a meeting. But see the problem? By the time logic shows up, the emotional alarm has been blaring for a while.
And this isn't just some abstract feeling, right? This brain loop has real, tangible costs in our lives. So let's look at how this whole cycle of uncertainty actually affects how we act and feel day to day.
So do any of these sound familiar? To try and fill that missing data void, you might find yourself over-texting, just trying to get any kind of response. Or maybe your brain just starts writing the script for a disaster movie, playing out every single worst-case scenario. And for some of us, we just go numb. We shut down emotionally to protect ourselves, to avoid getting hurt first.
So, if that's the problem, what on earth do we do about it? Well, the good news is we can actually learn a healthier way to respond. And it's not about fighting your brain. It's about learning to work with it by giving it better, more accurate data.
And listen, this is a super important point. The goal here is not to become emotionless. It's not about just turning off your feelings. It's about building better regulation. It's a skill that lets you manage that wave of anxiety so it doesn't completely take over and write the whole story for you.
So how do we actually do that? Here's a simple 3-step way to start retraining your brain. Step 1, name it. Call the trigger what it is. It's absence, it's not evidence of a disaster. Step 2, delay. Just press pause on interpreting the situation. Give yourself permission to just wait until you have more information. And step 3, build. Find other ways to feel connected that don't rely on that one live signal. Think about a great memory. Look at a photo. Anything that reminds you the connection is real.
Once you start seeing it this way, it lets you completely reframe the whole experience. You can go from feeling irrational to seeing yourself as totally trainable. This isn't about some personal flaw. It's about a skill you can learn.
Seriously, once you understand the pattern, the whole thing becomes so much less mysterious. The second you can see that anxiety for what it is, just a biological process, that little tug-of-war between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, it starts to lose its power over you. It's not some big, scary monster anymore.
So I really want you to hear this. You are not irrational. Your reaction isn't a sign that you're crazy or overly sensitive. It's actually a very predictable function of a brain that is trying its best to protect you from what it perceives as a social threat.
And what that means is you are trainable. Because it's just a pattern, it can be retrained. This is not some fixed part of your personality. It's a loop in your brain, and with a little bit of conscious effort, you can absolutely begin to reshape it.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you feel that panic rising from the silence, what new data are you going to choose to give your brain first? What new story are you going to tell yourself? Because the power to change that whole loop, it starts right there, in that moment.